Hello everyone, and welcome to the ins and outs of car buying. Today we have Westcom and Autoland in partnership with the Financial Wellness Program at UCLA, and we're so blessed to have them. To start off, Alma's going to be giving us a quick rundown of FWP and the services that we offer.
Hi everyone. So the Financial Wellness Program, let me share my screen to show you our website. Can you see our website?
I think so.
Yep, we can see it okay.
Well, thank you. But this is our website, financialwellness.ucla.edu, and we offer 3 different services. Our main one being we have one-on-one appointments. Here you could just choose different times and you can talk about any financial topics you may be interested in. Appointments can be up to an hour. And we also have workshops. So if you have an organization and you want to talk about a certain topic, you can definitely request one with us. You would just put your information in here. And then here you can check the different types we have. And you can also just look at them for yourself if you want to educate yourself a little bit more. And then we also have even more online education modules. But those are our 3 services. We also have an Instagram if you want to follow us. We post very important information on here. And our YouTube channel in which we record and post our webinars, including this one. You're going to find it on this. That's all for me.
Yeah. We're just going to finish up real quick. We wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed interest in this workshop, and we're so sorry that we couldn't offer it live, but we thought it would be best to adapt it to a recording. That way no one would feel compelled to have like the emotional focus and the capacity to have to engage during this limited time. We know that it's really hard in the midst of the coronavirus and the ongoing struggle for justice with the Black Lives Matter movement. We assert that we're in full support of the Black Lives Matter movement, especially as Financial Wellness Program is rooted in our mission of social justice and trying to extend like financial literacy to a lot of marginalized communities. We do believe this workshop is in part linked to that, and we also know that it coincides really interestingly with the ongoing economic side of things in the midst of the coronavirus. So we hope that this workshop provides you guys some help. And like Alma said, you can reach us through a lot of different platforms, and especially right now, we are really, really engaged in online modes. So you can reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, or anywhere on our website, and we'll be sure to get back to you if you have any more questions. With that said, we're going to pass it off to Westcom and Autoland to introduce themselves. Thank you guys all so much for being here today and spending your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Hi, my name is Sal Murguia. I'm the Partner Development Representative with Westcom Credit Union. Westcom is the official sponsor of the Financial Wellness Program, as well as with UCLA Athletics and UCLA Campus Life. We are obviously the banking partner, and we're here to present to UCLA, and we're here to present one of our business partners, Autoland, and Tim Ketchapaw as the presenter to help guide you through new car buying tips. And before I pass it off to Tim, just wanted to remind all UCLA Bruin students that Westcom does have a special designated website for UCLA Bruins. It's www.ucla.westcom.org. And we have a bunch of special offers there that are exclusive for UCLA students to become Westcom members. But with that little plug and that being said, I just want to pass it off to Tim. And Tim, take it away, introduce yourself, and I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. We certainly appreciate the time. I am Tim Ketchapaw with Autoland. We are a very easy auto buying service, and our goal today is to give you some auto buying tips, kind of walk you through the process of buying a vehicle, share a little bit about what we do, because our goal is to make sure that you have an easy, fun car buying experience and a knowledgeable one as well. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. All right. So I trust everyone can see it.
Yes, perfect.
All right. So the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to cover setting your budget. A very important part of auto buying. Financing, some researching vehicles, car buying options, types of vehicles, trade-ins, maintenance and insurance, and then the credit union difference, of course. So we're going to start today by talking about setting your budget. This is probably the most important part of auto buying that people forget to do sometimes. You know, they get excited about a vehicle or need a new vehicle and they just rush to the dealership. But what you want to do is get your budget figured out first. First thing you want to do is get pre-approved. You know, you want to know what you're approved for, what our budget's going to be. So very important, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Also know what you can realistically afford. You know, if you can afford $300 a month, great, but don't try to get that $500 a month car. You know, you want it to be comfortable. There's nothing worse, and we've heard it time and time, where people buy a car they've always wanted, but that payment is $800 or $900 a month, and it's killing them, and they don't get to enjoy their car because of that. So you really want to be careful and know what you can afford. It's recommended that no more than 10% of your pre-tax income is going to be your payment, and you're going to want to payment and insurance. You're going to want to pay attention to on that. Another thing we talk about, we let people know, is expect the unexpected. And what we mean by that is check your insurance. You know, if you're getting a newer vehicle, your insurance is probably going to go up. And depending on what you're getting, it might go up quite a bit. So you want to pay attention to that and find out what your insurance costs are going to be on the new vehicle. Another thing people forget about is tax and DMV fees, license fees, things like that. You know, you go get a $20,000 approval. It doesn't mean you can find a $20,000 vehicle, because you have tax and DMV fees that are going there as well. So make sure that you know what that is. In Los Angeles County, it averages about 11% for both of those. So keep that in mind when you're setting your budget as well. And then new versus used. You know, you want to take a look at pre-owned vehicles, because the great thing about pre-owned vehicles is they're going to cost a little bit less, and you get a little bit more car, which is wonderful, but your interest rate might be a little bit higher. You don't get the new car smell. But new cars, you know, you're going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're getting the new car smell. Your interest rate's going to be lower. The car's in perfect condition, right? So you kind of want to pay attention to that. Also, don't forget your day-to-day expenses. And by that, we mean fuel costs. You know, the vehicle you're getting, is it going to require premium fuel, or is it going to just take more fuel to run the vehicle? So you want to pay attention to that. Also, maintenance costs with oil changes, tires, things like that. A lot of times when people step up from, you know, say they have a Honda and then they decide to buy a German vehicle like a BMW or Mercedes, you know, oil changes cost quite a bit more. Tires cost quite a bit more. All maintenance in general costs quite a bit more. So you want to pay attention to those costs as well when you're setting your budget. Now, going back to getting pre-approved first, one of the big things that dealers will take advantage of, if you don't know your credit score, you don't know what you can afford, dealers will take advantage of that. So you want to get pre-approved, one, so you know your budget, and two, you know your credit score, you know what your rating is. If you go into a dealership and say you have tier 1 credit, maybe you qualify for the 1.5 or 2.5%. But if you don't know that, they're not going to give it to you, and they're going to bump you to 3.5, 4.5%, sometimes more. So knowledge is power when you go to a dealership. So make sure you know that when you go to the dealership. So when you go in and they try to hit you with 5%, you can say, no. I know what my credit score is. I know I deserve better than that. And Westcom, honestly, is a great way to start. They have auto loan finance calculators on their website that you can check out. You can type in everything from down payment, trade-in, what your interest rate's going to be, and it'll give you what your monthly payment's going to be. So check that out. And when you go to a dealership, knowledge is power, right? Another thing you don't want to forget when you're setting your budget is to include additional coverages. Gap insurance is going to be a big one. Now, the wonderful thing with Gap is what it is it's an insurance that covers your vehicle in case the vehicle is stolen or totaled. Now, say you take a loan on the vehicle for $25,000, and in 2 years, you get into an accident and the vehicle gets stolen. So your insurance company is going to pay you for it. Well, say you paid your loan down to $20,000, but the insurance company decides your vehicle's only worth $15,000. That's all they're going to pay. So you have to make up that extra $5,000. Well, Gap Insurance will take care of that gap for you, and they'll pay for that. So it's a great thing to have on a vehicle. Any maintenance programs that are involved with the vehicles, you want to make sure you include that. Usually it's on German side, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, they have extra maintenance packages you can purchase at time of purchase that you can get. LoJack, you know, here in Southern California, if you're buying a Toyota or a Honda, you're definitely going to want a LoJack, the #1 stolen vehicle here. So you want to add that in there. And then any mechanical breakdown protection, extended warranties, things like that, which your credit union offers, you're going to want to add that in there as well. Your credit union offers a great program with gap and extended warranty. It's going to be much cheaper than going to the dealership. So make sure you do not buy the dealer's gap or MMP, they call it, mechanical breakdown protection or extended warranty, as most people know it. Make sure you get it from Westcom because they're going to save you a lot of money when it comes to that. Financing. So basically, you know what financing is. If you need help to pay for your vehicle, you arrange your financing ahead of time. Apply for the loan with Westcom, get obtained for pre-approval. You're going to know your rate. You're going to know what your budget's going to be all before you buy your vehicle. Very smart move to do. Knowledge is power when you go to the dealership. So know what your budget's going to be, know what your interest rate should be so they don't take advantage of that when you get there. Auto loans, you've got many terms with auto loans. You can get up to 100% financing on, depending on your credit score, up to a 7-year repayment period, which is becoming the new norm. It used to be 5 years, then moved to 6 years. Now it's up to 7 years repayment period. I know at Westcom, there's no penalty for early payoff, which is wonderful. You may need a down payment. You know, that may be required to lower the monthly payment if you want, or if there's a stipulation with that. And then your interest rate is going to be based on your credit score. So the better your credit, the lower your interest rate is going to be. So credit is very important. It is vital in getting a good deal when you're working with your interest rate. Also, the term of the loan is going to determine interest rate as well. The longer the term, the higher the interest rate will be. Also, the model and year of the vehicle are going to have a lot to do with that as well. The newer the vehicle, the lower the interest rate. The older the vehicle, the higher the interest rate. There's also some wonderful special programs that Westcom offers for their members. They have auto loan rate discounts. So if you're a Premier member, you get discounts. Currently, we're running an a rate buy down promotion with them, where if you finance with Westcom, get the car with Autoland, you get an extra 0.5 off your interest rate. So there's lots of programs like that. So check that out when you're ready and see what programs you qualify for. One of their favorite programs they have that I love is their first-time borrower program. For many years, first-time borrowers were getting taken advantage of by dealerships. And with Westcom pulling out a program like this, it really makes sure our first-time buyers are taken care of. Typically, a first-time buyer will only get anywhere from 12 to 15,000 will be the approval. With Westcom, they can get up to $25,000 depending on the credit score. Only 10% down is required, so that's not bad. They also offer, we call it loan to value, and it's what they're going to loan you to the value of your vehicle. They offer 110% on that program, so that way it gives you an opportunity to also finance your gap and your MMP, or your extended warranty. So that's a really cool program. The best part of this program is in 12 months, after 12 consecutive payments, they're going to lower your interest rate. So they'll revisit it. You've made all your payments. You're being good with that. They're going to come and they're going to lower your interest rate. And they'll send you an email. Congratulations, you've lowered your interest rate. No dealership's going to do that. And for a credit union to do that, that's really taking care of their members. So it's a really fun, easy way to really build your credit and then get rewarded once you make all your payments. Researching car options. So there is a lot of information on the web right now. You do need to be a little careful with what you see. Some great online resources, autoland.com, I think is the best one, of course. But we do have TrueCar, we have AAA, Costco. Those are some good resources as well. Some kind of updates with that, what you want to pay attention to right now in the climate we're in. Dealerships have changed a lot recently, and they're not as staffed as they once were. So you go online to look at a vehicle and it shows they have it in stock, but they actually don't. They're actually not changing any of their inventory online right now because they don't have anybody to do that. So be careful with that. But like I said, still do your research online. Take a look at the cars, manufacturer websites you can take a look at to see, how the car is built, what colors are available. For example, if you want an F-150, there's probably 150 ways to build an F-150. So, going to their website and taking a look and knowing what you want ahead of time is a great option. Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds, another great way to research vehicles. You want to research some pricing. If you want to research reviews, it's a great way to do it. You can see reviews on different vehicles as well. Auto Trader for pre-owned vehicle values, a good way to look. Dealer website, you can see what's in stock, but like I just said, right now that's kind of off a little bit with everything that's going on. But it is a good way when times are normal to see what they do have in stock. One of the dealer tricks is, yeah, I've got that car, come on in. And then when you get there, oh, you know what, we just sold that car, but I have one similar to it. Let's go test drive it. So looking at their website ahead of time will tell you if they actually have the vehicle or not. Now be careful when you do that with manufacturer websites and dealer websites. When you go to their website, it's going to ask you for your zip code, which is fine. You can enter that. But it's also going to ask for email, phone number, all your personal information. You don't want to give that to them because they will call you and they will email you and they will text you as many times as they have to get you into that dealership. So be careful what information you put in when you go to those websites. Carfax is another great way if you're researching pre-owned vehicles. Get the Carfax on the vehicle. It's going to tell you a bit of history on the vehicle, where it came from, has there been any major accidents, and I'll tell you if there's minor accidents as well. Now you really want to pay attention to those Carfaxes on where the cars came from and when they came from there, because a lot of our southern states were flooding a few years ago. And all of a sudden in California, we noticed we were getting a lot of cars from Texas and Florida. And what happens is they send them over here because we don't think of flooding, we don't think to look at that, and people buy them and didn't realize their car was in a flood. So you always want to pay attention to the Carfax when you're buying a pre-owned vehicle. And then as far as I'm concerned, Autoland.com is the easiest way to do any of your research. It's a great website, easy to get to. You can research new cars, pre-owned cars. You can look at reviews and everything right there on our website. And it's very easy. And unless you hit submit, we're not going to bother you with emails and phone calls and things like that. All right. Now,
Tim, real quick.
Yes.
Which of those resources would you say are like free and accessible to all and stuff like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Which of those resources that you just briefed over would you say are free?
Are free?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Autoland is, obviously you can go to those websites. None of them are going to charge you for research. So you don't have to worry about that. It's when it comes to buying the vehicles when the costs come in.
That makes sense. Thank you, Tim.
No problem. So some other car buying options. So you have the dealership, right? So just kind of give you a little bit of my background, which I probably should have in the beginning, but my background is I came from Honda. I was with Honda for 16 years before I came over to Autoland. So I know a little bit about this process. And, when you go to a dealership, know how much you can pay, know what your budget is before going in. Take your pre-approval letter that you get from Westcom, take that into the dealership with you. Like I said before, knowledge is power when you go to a dealership. So you're going to want to show them, hey, I know what my credit score is. I know what my budget is, and I know what my rate's going to be. And that'll help lower some of the games that they're going to play with you. If you don't know that information, they're just going to hit you hard. If they know you know that information, it's going to make negotiating a little bit easier for you. So you're going to get meted by the guy that's going to take you on the test drive, right? The greeter. Everybody calls him the salesman, but he's really just a greeter. His job is to get you into a vehicle for a test drive so you can smell it and you can open the sunroof if it's a nice day, turn on your favorite station. He wants you to fall in love with the car. That's his job. One of the things we learned when we were at Honda was there's dealerships spend a lot of money on research and finding out what makes people purchase vehicles. And one thing they found out was that this part is a really important part, in that if a person walks into the dealership and they're there for less than 90 minutes, there's only about a 12% chance that they're going to buy a vehicle at that dealership. But as soon as that 90-minute mark hit, it jumped to the mid-80s, about 83, 84% chance they were going to buy a vehicle with that dealership. And the reason being is they've had time to fall in love with the vehicle. They've had time to post about it. Because, once you post about it, you have to come home with it, So you've had time to do all that. And you're more likely to buy the vehicle because your time's invested as well. So be careful when you get there during that part of it. No, his job is to keep you there for at least 90 minutes before passing you to anyone else. You're going to test drive cars, you're going to do all kinds of stuff. One of the tricks they do to get you to do that, when you get to the dealership, they're going to ask for your driver's license and proof of insurance, which they have to have because they have to verify that you have a license and proof of insurance. One trick you can do is before you go test drive vehicles, make sure to make a copy of your driver's license and a proof of insurance. And that way, when you get to the dealership, you give them the copy of the driver's license and proof of insurance. Because one of the tricks they'll pull is they'll take your license and insurance, take it back. They're going to go verify that everything's right. What they're doing is they're putting it in their manager's office, and then they're going to come back and you're going to go on your test drive. check out the car. If you love the car and you're going to stay there the 90 minutes, no issue. But when you come back, if you're saying, you know, I want to go test drive some other cars, give me my license and proof of insurance, I'm going to go check out some other cars, I'll get back to you. No problem. No problem at all. They're going to go back. They're going to go get it. They're going to be gone another 10, 15 minutes. And then they're going to come back to you. You know what? I'm so sorry. It was locked at my manager's desk so we could keep it safe. He's at lunch right now. He's not going to be back for about another 30 to 90 minutes. How about we go test drive another car while we wait? And that's kind of one of their tricks. So give them a copy of it. That way, at the end, if you want to leave, you can just leave because there's not much they can do with a copy of your driver's license. So once you're done with the greeter or the salesperson, then you're going to talk to your closer. Now the closer is the greeter's job is to say yes. He's a yes man. If you want a $50,000 car for $30,000, you know what? We'll work it out. No problem. Let's go test drive it. Now that's his job. You want a $50,000 car for $200 a month? No problem. We can work that out, I'm sure. That's his job. Now when you get to the closer, it's going to change a little bit. The closer's job is to line those numbers up a little bit better. Old school closers use what they call a four square, and they'll write it on a piece of paper. They'll put, you know, 4 squares, and they'll be value of the vehicle, your trade-in, your monthly payment, your interest rate, and they're just going to move numbers all around, really confuse you until they get to where they want. But you're going to spend some time with the closer, and he's going to make the numbers a little more realistic for you, adjust your expectations a bit, and you are going to spend some time with him, maybe another hour, hour and a half, with the closer, depending on how much you go back and forth. Now, once you're done with the closer, you think you've agreed on a price, you think you're done. Now it's time to go to the finance department, or F&I is what they call it, finance and insurance. Now, this is where the dealership makes their money. They make the most money in the finance department, the finance and insurance department. So before you go into that department, take a break. They're not going to like that you're going to take a break, but you got to take a break. Tell them, you know what, let me go have a cup of coffee. Let me go take a walk around the block. Just clear your head, get a cup of coffee so you are paying attention, because at this point you've been there a long time and they're counting on you being there a long time. You're bored, you don't want to be there anymore, you just want to go home to show off your car, you're fatigued. That's what they want. They want you impatient and not paying attention. So make sure, it's really important, that you just take a break for a minute, take 10 minutes, take a walk, take a breath, cup of coffee, whatever it is, before you go into finance. Now you're going to go to the finance department. So this is where the numbers are real. So this is where they're going to hit you with all the extended warranties. They're going to hit you with the overpriced gap. They're going to hit you with the overpriced low jack, window etching, whatever it is, whatever they feel they can make the most money on. This is where they're going to really hit you with that. Just kind of share one of my stories with when I was at Honda. We had a finance manager that he would not see anybody in the finance department until they'd been there a minimum of 4 hours. That was his rule. If they hadn't been at the dealership for 4 hours, he wouldn't talk to them. That was his, and the reason is he wanted them ready to leave. He wanted them just to want to sign and get out. That's all he wanted. That's what he wanted them impatient, sign, get out. And what he would do is he would have them come in and he'd chit chat with them a little bit. Oh, you guys seem like such a nice couple, or you seem like such a nice guy. You know, I really want to help you out. Let's get you squared away. So he'll type up his paperwork and he'll give you, I don't know if y'all seen that big long form. It's called a 553. He'll pass that over to you to sign, and all of a sudden your $300 a month payment that you just talked to the closer about is now $400, $450 a month. So obviously you're going to sit back and, no, that's not what we agreed on. We wanted $300 a month. And he's going to try to talk you into it. And one of the first things he's going to say is, you don't want to protect your investment? You know, why wouldn't you want to buy this warranty? Why wouldn't you want to buy the gap? And he's going to hammer you a little bit on that one. He's going to spend some time on that. If you buy it, great. His job is done. They've just made some good money on you. If you decide not to, that's when it gets a little more aggressive. If you really stick to your guns, he's going to, typically he'll say, what my experience was, that no problem, I completely understand. If I could get you everything for the $300 payment that we talked about, would you be willing to do that? Of course, right? $300 a month, you stick in my payment, and you're adding all this extra stuff. Most people will say yes. So what he'll do is be like, okay, give me a minute. I'm going to go get this authorized. I'll be right back. So he's going to leave. He has nobody to authorize it. He's the one that authorizes it. But he's going to leave because he wants you sitting there for he'll leave you there for 20, 30 minutes. The gentleman I was talking about, he would go out, he'd have a smoke break. I've seen him go to lunch, leaving somebody in his office, and then come back. And he'll come back with the paperwork, and it'll never be the payment you negotiated. So if it's $300, It won't be 300. It'll be 330 or 335. They'll always get a little bit more. So he'll come back. It'll be about 350. But you know what? He included everything on there for only $50 more a month. You get to protect your whole vehicle. Why wouldn't you want to do that? I've seen your credit score. You can collect cans and get that $50 a month extra. Let's get this signed, get you out of here, get you on the way. And most of the time, people would sign. But what they didn't know to pay attention to, because they were tired, they were impatient, they just wanted to go home, is what he did was he would extend their term. So instead of a 60-month term, he would extend it to 72 months or 84 months, whatever he needed to do to get that payment back down to where they had talked about. And if a payment went lower than the 300, he would raise the interest rate to make the payment go just over 300. So he's making money there too. So that's what I talk about when I say you really need to be careful when you get into the finance and insurance area, because that's where they make their money and that's where they're very aggressive. You know, when it comes to their gap insurance and their warranties that they're going to sell you, don't get it at the dealership. Get it with Westcom. You're going to save a ton of money and it's going to be a lot easier and great coverage. So pay attention there. Don't let them fool you when you're negotiating. Negotiate on the price of the vehicle because you know what your budget is. You know what the payment should be. Negotiate on the price of the vehicle, not the payment. Because if you negotiate payment, that's when they start messing with terms and interest rates. Don't negotiate payment. You'll end up paying more for a vehicle than you expect to. Use us, use Autoland. You avoid all that haggling. It's much easier. And I'll explain how Autoland works in a little bit. And dealers love to have you sign contracts. They love it. So they'll always tell you, okay, just sign here, you know, we'll get to the paperwork in a minute, but go ahead and sign here. Don't sign any contracts unless you feel very comfortable signing that contract. At the end of the deal, everything worked out the way you want, you know, of course you can go ahead and sign then, but don't sign ahead of time. Don't sign if you're not comfortable for it. There's also private party purchase. It's another way to go. That seems to be getting more and more dangerous in these few past years. We're starting to hear more kind of crazy stories with that, but private party purchase is basically an individual selling a vehicle, not using a dealership or anything like that. If you do buy private party, it's going to be a pre-owned vehicle. Make sure you get a Carfax on the vehicle. You want to see where that car came from. You want to see the history on the vehicle. Another thing, test drive the vehicle. A lot of people will buy a pre-owned vehicle. They'll go to talk to the person. Like, yeah, I want to test drive. And like, oh, I don't really know you. I don't want you to test drive my car because I'm not comfortable with that. But they're really excited to get that car, so they'll buy it without test driving it. And then they'll drive it down the road and realize, well, what's that weird thump noise or what's that grinding noise or whatever it is. So always test drive a vehicle before you purchase it. Another thing to do when you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, especially from private party, take it to a mechanic, have them check it out. Take it to a dealership, have the dealership check it out. It's usually about $90 to $100 to check it out, but it's well worth it. They're going to check things that you can't check on the street. They're going to lift it up in the air and look underneath it. They're going to check brakes and oil and fluids and things like that. So spend the money if you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, get it checked out. It'll be worth it in the end. Another thing, if you're going to meet with somebody, meet them at a safe location. There are a lot of scams and a lot of sketchy things going on. So whether you're selling the vehicle or buying a vehicle, meet them at a sheriff's station. I know where I live, our local sheriff's station has 2 parking spots dedicated for that. And it's people buying stuff from Craigslist or used cars, things like that. So make sure it's a safe location. Fire department, sheriff's department, LAPD station, whatever it is, just make sure it's a safe location. You just want to make sure you're safe. You know, take all the precautions you can. And condition of the car. Always look at the condition of the car. People get very excited when you buy a car, and when you pull up and you see it, oh man, this is as nice as I thought it was. Well, it's easy to wash a car and vacuum a car. What you want to do when you're looking at a pre-owned vehicle, move the seat forward and look under the seat. How dirty is it under the seat? You know, open up the trunk, look in the trunk, see how clean the trunk is. Pull the mat from the trunk and see what it's like under there. You know, pay attention to that kind of stuff. Check the oil, see if the oil is black or if it's clean. You know, you want to make sure that everything is in good condition. So condition of the car is pretty important when you're buying a pre-owned vehicle. All right. So there are 3 different, ways, on the cars come. You've got new vehicles, pre-owned vehicles are used, and leased. So new vehicles, obviously everybody loves a new vehicle. They've got the new car smell, you've got the latest technology, the latest safety standards. It's in perfect condition, but you are going to have a higher monthly payment, and it is going to depreciate quicker than a pre-owned vehicle. As soon as you drive off the lot, it does depreciate a bit. Now, in a used car, They're great because they're less expensive and you get more vehicle. A lot of times you get more options. You avoid the depreciation, which is great, but you are going to have some wear and tear on the vehicle. You might not have that new car smell anymore. It might need service. You don't really know the history on the vehicle. Even with a Carfax, it does give you a screenshot, but it's not exact. So you want to, be cognizant of that when you're buying a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle. And then also there's going to be some maintenance costs. Some things you may need tires right away. I'd recommend doing an oil change right away, alignments, things like that. And then leasing, that can be dangerous. So you want to pay attention on leasing. Great thing about a lease is you get a low payment for a more expensive vehicle because you're only paying for 3 years of that vehicle. But it is a short term. You don't own the vehicle. There are lease contracts, so you have to pay attention, really pay attention to things like mileage. That's usually where people get upside down. If the best lease rates you see on TV all the time are the 10,000 miles a year or less. So if you're driving 12 or 13,000 miles a year, you're going to want to pay attention to that. Maybe leasing isn't right for you. If you do a lease, make sure you cover the mileage you're going to drive a year because the mileage is expensive. For typically every mile you drive over is going to be about 25 to 30 cents a mile. So it can rack up pretty quick. So be careful with that. Plus, you have to give it back to them in optimal condition. If there's dents and dings and worn out tires and it needs a service or there's a cracked windshield, you have to pay for that. So be cognizant of that as well when you're leasing a vehicle. So if you are going to lease, make sure you're good with all that and then it does fit your style. So financing, dealer financing, rebates, things like that. 0%, you're seeing it everywhere right now, right? You're seeing the 0%. But what you want to be careful of on that 0%, there's two things. One, 0% is usually tier 1 plus. There's nothing in between. So I know a lot of people think, well, I have close to tier 1 credit, so maybe I'll get close to that 0%. That's not how dealers work. You either get the 0% or boom, you're back at 3% or higher, depending on what dealership you go to. So be cognizant of that. Knowing your credit score ahead of time is certainly going to help with that. Also with the 0%, be very careful because typically they're shorter terms. They're going to be maybe 60 months, so the payment's going to be higher. I know right now a lot of dealers are doing 84 months, 0%, but what they're not telling you is you don't get the rebate. So when you get that 0%, you lose all your rebates. So do the math on it. A lot of times it's easier to take your credit union or Westcom's rate at 2.5 to 3.5% or whatever it's going to be and get the rebate. Right now there's so many 0% commercials going on. There's also huge rebates. We're seeing, for example, Ford is giving anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 in rebates. But if you do the 0%, you lose all those rebates. And those rebates are worth much more than that 0%. So always be paying attention to that. Another trick dealers will do, dealers get paid on the interest rate that you pay. That's why they always want to mark that up. You don't have to dealer finance. One thing dealers will tell you is, well, to get this deal, you have to finance with us. That's not the case. If they try that, get up and walk out. Guarantee you won't even hit that door before they're like, just kidding, come on back. We'll get you squared away with your Westcom financing. So don't fall for that. And then leasing, we talked about, is it right for you? So just make sure that it is very tempting to lease a vehicle. A lot of people do it, and a lot of people get upside down in a lease because of mileage or what the residual value is on the vehicle. One thing I will say, a little trick I'll give you on leasing a vehicle, negotiate the price of the vehicle before you tell them you want to lease it. Because a lot of times when you go to lease it, then they're payment focused because they know you're payment focused, and they'll mark up the price of the car just because they can, and they'll make more money on it. So always negotiate the price of the car and then say, hey, just kidding, we're going to lease it. So now your trade-ins, if you have a trade-in, you want to evaluate your trade. How much is your trade worth? Know what your trade is going to be worth. One thing the dealers, they kind of joke about it, but one thing they always said is, I'm not going to sell your car and buy your car. That was what they always said. You need to know what your car is worth. If you bring in a car, say it's a $10,000 car, and they ask you, well, what do you want for it? I really don't know what it's worth. We'll give you $2,000 for it. That's what they'll tell you. They will lowball you on the vehicle because they want to make as much money as they can on the other end. So know what your trade value is going to be. Kelley Blue Book is a great way to do it. In Kelley Blue Book, you can look at wholesale pricing, trade-in value, private party value. You can look at all three. So always look at the wholesale value. That's typically what you're going to get on the trade-in value. But at least then you know a ballpark figure of what you're going to get. So, say Kelley Blue Book says your car is worth $10,000. Dealer offers you $8,000 or less. You're like, no, I know my Kelley Blue Book value. I know it's $10,000. Yeah, it's going to bump that up. Knowledge is power, right? So know what your value is going to be. do some web research to get an idea what your car is worth. Check local pricing, things like that. Auto Trader is a good way to do that. And remember, condition is everything on a trade-in. Make sure that car is clean. We know you're probably sick of it. You're trading it in, right? You're sick of the car. You don't want it anymore. But do that one last detail on the car and get it clean. Have it waxed if it's fading a little bit. Vacuum under the seat. Vacuum out the trunk. Shine the tires up. The better the car looks, the more value you're going to get out of it. The more options your car has, the less damage your car has, the more value you're going to get out of it. Now, if you're trading in a $500,000 car, get it washed, shine the tires. Don't worry about fixing windows and things like that. But if you're trading in a car where you need top value out of it, make sure it's in good shape. Make sure it's clean. Make sure there's no dents, dings, things like that. All right. Credit Union Difference, Westcom and Autoland, let us help you out. You're going out there, you're buying a vehicle. We want to help you out. We've got a great website to help you out. We've got great knowledge in our people to help you out. We're there to help you. Westcom.autoland.com is a great place to go. From there, there's a co-branded website. You can search new cars, pre-owned cars. You can get a trade-in value right there from our website. With new vehicles, it'll show MSRP pricing, so you can kind of get an idea. You probably won't pay that, but it'll give you a ballpark. So if you're looking for a Civic, you'll know you're in the high 20s. Where if you have a budget of $30,000, you'll know you're sitting right. But if you have a budget of 15, maybe you should be looking at that one. So it kind of gives you a ballpark figure. Pre-owned vehicles, you can search all of our pre-owned vehicles. We have about 2,000 pre-owned vehicles on our website right now. You can search within a price parameter, which is really nice. And then get your trade-in value. Do it all online. It's really easy. Any questions you have, anything like that can be answered right there. And what's nice about our website is when you click on the Westcom link, it'll take you right back to your Westcom website. So very easy to use. And again, unless you click submit with your information, we're not going to bother you. We want to make sure you have a fun, easy car buying experience. And right now, during COVID and everything going on, we're just delivering the vehicle. We can deliver it to your branch if you'd like, if that makes it easier, which is typically what we do. Or we can deliver it to your home right now is what we're doing as well. We meet the dealership at your home or at the branch with the vehicle. We check and make sure it's the right vehicle. But then we go through and we sanitize the vehicle. We're wiping down steering wheels and shift knobs and door handles. And we're doing everything we can right now to keep everybody safe from that. We're wearing our masks. We're wearing our gloves when we go out. Anything we need to do to help us, what we're here to do. So make your car buying experience fun and easy. So hopefully these tips can help you have a fun car buying experience. We want it to be easy. We want it to be a financially sound experience for you. Please contact Westcom ahead of time. Get your pre-approval. That is the number one thing you can do for yourself before buying a vehicle is get pre-approved by your credit union, by Westcom. And then we hope, of course, you consider Autoland for your auto buying service. Very easy to use, and it's all part of your benefits. So there's no extra fees or anything like that. All right. So I think we had some questions.
We do. We have a bunch. Thank you so much, Tim. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, I have my own personal questions real quick, and then from kind of like the presentation that you gave. I was wondering, how do you get a used car checked out? So say I'm buying a used car. Do I just ask the person who's selling the car if I can drive the car to like a car trading place? You said to have them evaluate the car. They can like lift the hood and see all these things that I can't really evaluate about a used car, right, Tim?
Yeah, it's actually a great way to do it is have them meet you at the dealership or at your mechanic. One, you're already there. They're meeting you there. You can mechanic check it out. And two, it's kind of a safe place, right? I mean, you trust
That's true.
mechanic, you trust the dealership. Probably nothing bad's going to happen there. So it would be a good, safe place to have them meet you and have the vehicle checked out.
Sounds good. Just going off that note, I wanted to say for all our viewers there, earlier we kind of mentioned that the meetup spot for buying a used car is really crucial. You just want to be really safe when you're doing it. And we said like, we recommend like firefighters or a police station. Honestly, like we also recognize that where you feel safe and who makes you feel safe is really an individual thing. So generally what we just recommend is that you choose a public location where there's a lot of foot traffic or there could be a lot of people who can see. We just want to make sure that you are safe. Usually like it is not out of the question to ask the buyer to meet you somewhere that you feel comfortable. So I think the biggest takeaway for Tim's presentation today with us is that you have the right to advocate for yourself. And to do so really well, you just put in a little bit of research beforehand. You already took the initial step in watching this video. I have another quick question. Tim, if you could explain what is a rebate? You said like 0% versus rebate. 0%
Right.
is interest, right?
Yes. Yeah, they'll do
Okay.
0% interest rate is what they offer. Now, the rebate is what the manufacturer offers for you to buy the vehicle. So a lot of times, Ford's a great example because they always have rebates. If you buy a truck, they'll have loyalty rebates. So if you already own a Ford, they'll give you an extra rebate because you own a Ford, or first-time buyer rebates, or military
Like a
rebates,
discount?
or collegiate rebates, things like that.
Okay. And then finally, what does dealer financing mean?
Dealer financing is when you finance with the dealership itself. Now, the dealer doesn't actually finance the car for you. Like when I was at Honda, it was Chase and Wells Fargo were the two big financial companies that the dealerships used. But what you have to be careful of on that is they get paid on the interest rate, as I think I said before. So you just kind of have to be careful. If you're going to dealer finance, make sure you're getting a really good rate.
So it's just setting up like the loan, the interest rates is all that you have to pay, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So we have a lot of questions today. We'll get started, and Alma and I will take some turns. The first question that someone asked is, what to look for when buying it used, and what is a good price if buying used? Tim, do you have a general response to that?
Well, when you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, one thing I'd recommend is look up the Kelley Blue Book value on the vehicle you're buying. So it works on selling your car, and it also works on buying a vehicle. If you're going to go buy a 2018 Honda Civic, look up Kelley Blue Book value on a 2018 Honda Civic and see what the wholesale value is versus the private party value. And if you get it somewhere in there, you're doing good.
Okay.
As for the next question, what are some tips to obtain low interest rates? And then how do we determine how big of a down payment to make?
Well, low interest rate, your interest rate is going to be 100% on your credit. So that is completely based on your credit. Now, to make sure you get the interest rate you deserve, you need to know what your credit score is. So that's my biggest thing you can take away is know your credit score. So that way you know if you're getting a good rate or not. And when you get pre-approved with your credit union, they're going to automatically give you the best rate. So you're going to know what your best rate should be.
When buying used, do you recommend buying pre-owned vehicles from a dealership such as Honda?
Buying from the dealership? Yeah, for sure. And the good thing about buying from a dealer or like buying from Autoland, for example, all of our pre-owned cars come from dealerships. And the reason we do that is there's buyback guarantees, there's warranties that come with it. A dealership has already inspected that vehicle. So they know it's in good shape. They know it's in good condition. And if it needed an oil change, they gave it. If it needed brakes, they did it. If it needed tires, they probably did it. So it's just another line of defense. Now, no matter what you buy, you should always take it to a trusted mechanic to have it checked out, just to verify that it's in good shape. But yeah, you buy a private party, you really don't know what they've checked and what they've done. Typically, when people sell a car, they're not going to put a bunch of money in it to sell it.
The next question, you already answered it, should I buy a used car or a new car? And you said that just really depends on like what you can afford and what you're comfortable with. So I'll skip that one.
I have a quick question that jumps off of that one. Tim, do you usually see college-age students and college graduate students buying used or new?
It really depends again on your budget.
Okay.
It really depends on your budget. I always recommend new versus pre-owned only because you get the warranty. You get, most cars come with a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty. It's bumper to bumper. The last thing you want to do is get out of college and have to worry about car repairs, right? So it's nice to have a vehicle that has a warranty on it. So,
Okay.
but it just depends on your budget.
Okay. Go ahead, Alma.
Thanks. How does COVID change the situation of buying car? Like, is
That's
this
a good question.
Yeah, COVID has changed a lot in the auto buying. A couple things you want to be careful of right now. One, you want to make sure when the car shows up that it gets sanitized, either by you or by the person delivering it, because you don't know who touched that car. There's people cleaning the car, there's people moving the car, there's people delivering the car. There's a lot of people handling vehicles before you get them. So make sure they get sanitized ahead of time or when it arrives. Another thing is a lot of places like us, we're delivering the vehicle for you. So that way it goes to your home. So it limits your exposure to, outside, whatever. That's another good thing. Another thing you want to pay attention to is pricing. Dealer inventory is extremely low right now. They don't have a lot of inventory because with everything getting shut down, all the cars are stuck at port. So they can't get the cars. So typically a dealership would have, a Toyota dealership would have anywhere from 150 to 200 Camrys. Right now they're sitting at 50 to 60 Camrys. So they're going to try to make up for the loss of income on those 50 or 60 Camrys. So you just really need to pay attention to what you're going to buy, more now than ever.
Okay. I think a lot of people thought, I know I thought it'd be cheaper to buy a car right now.
Yeah, no, we can still help you out and we still have great pricing, but we're going to start seeing as inventory is low, people start wanting to buy, prices are going to go up.
I see. Okay. The next question is, well, it's kind of just stemming off of that. Is this the best time to buy a car? And I guess that's a personal decision for them,
Exactly.
based on like what's going on and what it looks like and who they partner up with. Is it okay to buy a car from a dealership that isn't brand name like Toyota, Honda, etc.?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, you just want to check it out. You want to make sure there's a Carfax on the vehicle. You want to do your due diligence to make sure that you know as much as you can of the history of the vehicle. Get it inspected ahead of time before you buy, so that way you know it's in good shape.
As for the next question, how do you create a budget for a car?
A good way to create a budget is, like we had talked about, 10% of your income, that's going to be your payment, and getting pre-approved is going to be a big part of that. Once you get pre-approved, you're going to know what your interest rate is, you're going to know how much you can have, and you're going to know what your payment's going to be. So once you know what your payment is, you'll know if you can afford it or not.
Okay. Someone asked some quick questions of what car dealerships or places do you recommend and any online websites to help buying a car? I think all of those were pretty much mentioned in the workshop. But they also asked car loans. Could you talk about them and if you think they're worth it?
Car loans? Car loans?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of times, if you have the cash to buy a car, buy the car, right? But, a lot of people don't have $30,000, $40,000 sitting around, and, that's when you want to do the car loan. Yeah, it's a great way to buy a vehicle.
I have a quick question if I can jump in. Tim, thanks so much. I'm wondering right now with the state of the world and what's going on, if we're looking at purchasing a car, what are a few tips you have for getting the dealership to lower the MSRP? Kind of tips for haggling and lowering the overall cost?
That's tough right now, and it really depends on the vehicle you want and what the inventory looks like. If you're looking for a specific vehicle and there's only one or two or three in California, you're really not going to get much of a discount right now, unfortunately. Your best bet right now is to use an auto buying service like Autoland, because we have relationships with these dealerships. We've been around since 1971. So our dealership relationships are deep, and they will still sell us cars at a discount, where you walk in off the street, you're not going to get that same relationship. You don't have that same relationship. So your best bet would be to use an auto buying service like Autoland, who's been around a long time, that has those relationships to fight for you.
Awesome. And one other quick question. Let's say we're looking at a car and we notice when we look up the vehicle ID number that there are certain parts on the car that have been recalled, but the dealer says they have now been fixed and shows us evidence that they have been fixed. Could that be used to help lower the overall cost of the car?
You can try. You could try it. I know when I worked at Honda, that came up all the time. Like, well, there's had 2 recalls. Well, we did them all, so they're good. As long as they do the recalls on the car, it's fine.
Thank you. Pat and Alma, back to you.
Thank you, Sarah, for your question. The next question is how to negotiate car payments and benefits. Just to reiterate some things that Tim said, to go in with pre-approval, and to know your budget and your credit. Anything else, Tim, for how they can advocate for themselves?
No, but I'm going to reiterate that, because the most powerful tool you have when you go to a dealership, 1 is patience, and 2 is your pre-approval. If you have patience and you have a pre-approval, you have the knowledge you need to get a good deal.
Okay. And I also want to add, set your boundaries. I think like you know what's best for you. They really don't know what's best for you. All they know is what's best for them. And coming from a people pleaser, it really kind of shook me to hear Tim say that I can just step out if I need to take time to think. I usually think if I'm kind to them, they'll be kind to me. But you know, like this is like you just need to be your biggest advocate in car buying. So I think that was why your presentation was really good today.
Very well said. And that's exactly right. They're not your friend. Unless they are your friend. But they're not,
Right.
you walk in, you didn't know this person 5 minutes ago. You know, they're not your friend.
Yeah.
Their job is to sell. That's their job. And they're going to do whatever they have to do it.
As for the next question, you already answered this, but we will see a change in will we see a change in prices for both new and used cars on the market due to COVID-19? And you said that yes, they tend to be more expensive because not many people are like getting cars. But would this also be the case for used cars? I know you said for new cars.
Yeah, it'll be the case for pre-owned as well, only because
Oh,
supply and demand. You know, the less inventory there is out there, the more expensive, you know, vehicles become.
Okay, and yeah, then the next question, you already answered this. I'm just going to reiterate what you said. Is it better to buy from a used car dealership like CarMax or directly from an owner via Craigslist? And it really just depends on
yeah.
what you're comfortable with. So like the ones that you would find on Craigslist, you know, you really need to do your background research on that, take it to a mechanic to see if there's anything wrong. Whereas the used cars, like at CarMax, they would have already done all those checks, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, like Alma said, like the latter could be cheaper, but that also comes with high risk. So it's definitely up to you. Um, Someone asked, what finance options are available for international students? For example, students with an F1 student visa and OPT. And Tim, if you could also take the time to talk about what navigating car buying might look like for an undocumented student,
For the what?
for an undocumented person.
You know, I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know. Sal, do you have any info on that?
Or Sarah?
No, I don't have any additional information as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I know
That's okay.
from what I've seen, if someone has an SSN, so if an undocumented student or person has DACA, they should have an SSN, and that would be used to purchase the car.
Okay.
And as long as a person has a credit history and is able to provide that as well, then they can use that. I've also seen at times a taxpayer ID number can be used to help finance a vehicle, an ITIN, in place of an SSN through DACA. But again, it really depends on who you're trying to finance your vehicle with.
Okay. What about for international students?
So international students, if they have a credit score and an ITIN, they should be able to find folks who accept those forms of identification and an ITIN number to finance the vehicle. So
Okay.
if they're looking to take out an auto loan.
Sounds
Also,
good.
from my understanding, if an undocumented person or an international person has the money to outright buy a vehicle, they can do that as well. I think where there comes a bit of an issue is when it comes to taking out that auto loan.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so if you're watching this and you're from like out of the US or you happen to be undocumented and you want more specialized knowledge, we really encourage you to reach out to us and we can always like look into it and provide it for you. Alma, do you want to ask the next question now?
I'm currently looking for it. A lot of them were already like repeated. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I have one. Someone asked that they kind of just want to use a car for 2 to 3 years. So do you think that it'd be a best idea to lease or to buy a used car or to buy a new car too?
They just want it for 2 years, they said?
Yeah, 2 3
Yeah,
years.
if they don't drive a lot of miles in a situation like that, a lease might be the best option because they can just turn in the keys and walk away.
Ah,
Yeah, it might be a good option, but it depends on what their budget is too. You know, if they have a $10,000 to $12,000 budget, we can get a great pre-owned vehicle for that price and then turn around and sell it in 2 years and they'll be okay.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, I found a question. So someone doesn't have any credit. How would they go about buying a car? Yes.
That's no problem at all. And again, Westcom, like I talked about in the presentation, Westcom has a first-time borrower program. And it's a great program. I explained it in the presentation, but that's no problem.
Would you recommend them doing that, or rather waiting to build credit score and then to get a car that way?
No, the first-time buyer program is a great way to build your credit. So absolutely, that's a great way to build your credit. Just make sure you make all your payments.
Someone asked how to navigate loans with student loan debt. Tim, do you ever see that, or Sarah, or anyone? And any recommendations for navigating that?
Yeah, so I would say if you have student loan debt as a part of your monthly budget, it would be including that in what you're able to pay for taking out a car note. So including, student loan debt and that monthly payment as a bill that you're paying each month, and seeing what you have left over to take on a second loan to purchase a vehicle. Tim, do you have anything else?
Well said.
Thank you, Sarah. And then another person asked this question too, and I've always wondered this. What would you say is like some of the best times to buy a car? Say I don't need a car urgently, but I just want like a good deal. There's always like these like promotional things on TV, but I can't really compare them. Which one's better than the other?
Yeah, there's throughout the year, there's a lot of good times to buy vehicles. End of the year is typically the best, but you've got all the holidays. They're always doing promotions during the holidays. So Memorial Day weekend, whatever the holiday is, they've got tons of promotions. So that's a great time to buy. And keep in mind the promotion, they'll say it's Memorial Day weekend only. That promotion, dealers run them the whole month. So don't waste your time at the dealership. Let Autoline take care of it.
Wait, that must be so many months.
It's usually good for the whole month. Now, the end of the year deals, those are really good because they want to get rid of their old inventory. So, we're coming up on 2021. So if there's 2020s left, towards the end of the year, they're going to lower the price of those and have higher rebates on those because they need to get rid of those to bring in the 2021s. Now, where you could get in a little bit of trouble with that is there might not be the inventory you need. Typically, the top of the line cars sell quicker. So a fully loaded, say you were looking for a Civic, a fully loaded Civic will sell quicker than just an LX. So there may not be that exact vehicle you want. You may have to sell it for something a little less, or maybe something a little bit more to get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. Someone asked, go ahead, Alma.
Thanks. How much do you think a monthly car payment should be as a fraction of your income? I know you mentioned 10% of your income for the down payment, right?
10% for the payment.
Oh, for
the whole payment.
Okay, thank you.
And then someone else asked, what are the parameters for not needing a cosigner? Do I need to purchase auto insurance for myself prior to buying a car?
You will need insurance prior to buying a vehicle, but if you don't know what your vehicle is going to be, you can't buy insurance on it. But that can happen at the same time.
Oh,
so
okay.
If we lock in a vehicle and we lock in the budget and what you're going to buy, then we'll get you an identification number to contact your insurance company and they insure it right away.
What about in terms of needing a cosigner?
Cosigner, that would be up to the credit union. When you do your pre-approval, they'll let you know if you need a cosigner or not.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Excuse me, Catherine. A cosigner just essentially affects your ability to get the loan. So if you feel that for whatever reason your credit or your financial situation isn't up to tier 1 level or what a satisfactory tier for you, it's a good idea to look into having a cosigner with you. A lot of young people do that with their parents. It can create some situations where you're going to have discussions about being responsible and paying back that loan on time, because it just doesn't affect you. It affects the co-signer as well. So there's going to be a mutual agreement upon the person who is getting the loan and the co-signer as well. So you have to have good relationships with whoever you're doing that co-signing with.
Okay, thank you, Sal. Sarah is going to have to wrap up a little bit. So we're going to ask some of the more urgent questions and then finish up in about 1 to 2 minutes. So another quick question is, are there income requirements to securing a car loan?
I'm sorry, it was cutting out. I didn't hear the question.
Sorry, are there income requirements to securing a car loan?
Any time requirements?
Income.
Oh, income requirements. Oh yeah, there'll be income requirements. And Sal might be able to better speak to that, but any questions on that kind of thing, you could do right there with your credit union.
Okay, thank you. Alma,
Yeah.
you want to jump in?
Oh, sorry,
Or-
Catherine. Just I'm not I don't service the loans. That's not my area of expertise. But what I do know is that income is a measuring stick, so to speak. It's a way to measure the person's ability to obtain a loan. So they do take income as consideration into the person's ability to borrow money. So that is something that is considered, in creating the loan.
All right.
So I'm gonna hop in here really quick to thank our moderators, Alma and Kat, for navigating all of the questions that we have received from over 100 RSVPs to this event. So thank you both so much for doing that. I want to thank Tim for his wonderful presentation and for representing Autoland in this cause. And sharing some great insight and tips for buying a car, especially right now with everything that's going on. And Sal, thank you so much for coordinating our connection with Tim and Autoland to supply this information to our students. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I know folks may have a 1 p.m. that they have to run off to, but if you are a student watching this presentation, please reach out to Financial Wellness and we can get you in touch with Tim from Autoland or representatives from Westcom to support some of your questions and needs.
Thank you, Sarah.